Popularly known as the residence of Henry VIII, the construction of Hampton Court Palace was originally begun by Cardinal Wolsey in the early 16th century. A prominent churchman and politician in Henry VIII's court, Wolsey sought to convert a medieval manor house near the River Thames in Hampton into a palace where he could entertain the king as well as foreign monarchs. In 1529, Hampton Court Palace passed on to Henry VIII after Wolsey was removed due to his inability in persuading the Pope to annul the marriage of Henry VIII and Catherine of Aragon. Since then, Hampton Court Palace served as a site to demonstrate the power and prestige of the monarch until the 18th century. Hampton Court is not a single building, but rather a series of buildings built during different centuries gathered around interconnecting courtyards. During the Tudor period, Hampton Court served as a palace, a theatre, and a leisure complex. Set against the background of Henry VIII's marriage to Anne Boleyn, a new Great Hall was planned along with the Queen's lodgings, a chamber for the King's Council, and the kitchens. The new Great Hall replaced a smaller hall built during 1495 to 1514. The Great Hall served as a place for eating and entertaining, and on special occasions was also used for plays. The Great Hall is adorned by a timber roof, first built in 1533. It is decorated with Anne's coat of arms, her falcon badge, and the initials AR for Anne Regina. The roof was made in hammer beam style to evoke the essence of great halls from the medieval period. The roof is also adorned with eavesdroppers, the carved and painted heads. Tapestries showing scenes from the life of Abraham from the book of Genesis hang on the walls of the Great Hall. They were woven in Brussels and are made of wool, silk, gold, and silver thread. The first room of the king's state apartments after the Great Hall, the Great Watching Chamber, was the place where the yeomen of the guard were stationed to watch and control access. Only visitors deemed important were allowed to enter this room and were further led to a series of chambers, each one more private than the last. The gilded ceiling of the chamber has Henry VIII's royal coat of arms as well as the personal badge of his third wife, Jane Seymour. Such symbols were important to reiterate the Tudor dynasty's claim to the throne and power. The tapestries hanging on the walls of the chamber consist of some of the surviving collection of Thomas Wolsey and tell biblical or moral stories. Adjoining the chamber is a small room that served as a garderobe or toilet for the people waiting in the chamber and was later replaced with a fireplace in the 18th century. The processional route, famously known as the Haunted Gallery, connected the apartments to the chapel. Most of Henry VIII's private apartments were demolished and remodeled during the reign of William III. A popular legend states that Catherine Howard, Henry VIII's fifth wife, ran screaming along the processional route to plead her innocence against the charge of adultery, and her ghost can still be heard screaming in the gallery. A prominent part of the Tudor apartments are the kitchens. While the large portion of the kitchens was taken down, many rooms still survive and display an efficient food production line. Raw goods were brought in through the tradesman entrance. The boiling house was a smaller kitchen which was exclusively used to prepare and cook meat. The fish court, with its narrow corridor and open space, ensured that the stone stores were cool for storage. Through this corridor, one enters the great kitchen, which was originally used for roasting meat. Later, charcoal stoves were added along with the bread oven. These additions serve as clues to the continued use of kitchens in the later centuries. At the end of the great kitchen, one can see hatches through which prepared food was passed. During the Tudor period, food was a vital tool to demonstrate wealth and status. The kitchens also consisted of a wine cellar which served as another status symbol. While minor additions and changes were made to the palace during Elizabethan, early Stuart, and the Civil War period, it was during the joint reign of Mary II and William III that a large-scale remodeling of the palace took place. Christopher Wren was asked to design a new Baroque palace for the monarchs. Instead of demolishing the entire palace, Wren created the Fountain Court and left most of the Tudor portions intact. Entrance to the king's apartments was through the king's staircase. The staircase was designed to create the illusion of a great Roman hall. Following the same filtering system, the apartments start with the guard chamber, where the yeomen of the guard would have ensured that courtiers were suitably dressed before entering the presence chamber. The presence chamber was the official throne room where the visitors had to bow even if the throne was empty. This was followed by a large room used for public dining, an opportunity for the public to witness how the king dined. After the eating room, only the most important visitors passed into the privy chamber, the great bedchamber, and the little bedroom. The great bedchamber was where the king was dressed in public. The little bedroom has a painted ceiling by Antonio Verrio depicting Mars, the god of war, and Venus, the goddess of love. The closet next door contains a rare surviving clothes stool made for William III. The floor below consisted of rooms where William III lived. William and Mary were also responsible for creating the new Great Fountain Garden and Privy Garden. During the Georgian period, George I built a series of rooms for his son, Prince of Wales, George, and his wife, Princess Caroline. The Queen's apartments, initially built for Queen Mary II on the remains of Anne Boleyn's lodgings, were completed and redecorated during the reign of King George II and Queen Caroline. The Queen's staircase was redecorated by William Kent and includes a homage to the Queen, comparing her to Goddess Britannia. At the forefront of lavish entertainment, King George II and Queen Caroline made several efforts to participate in public ceremony. The apartments consist of the Queen's audience chamber, the drawing room, the bedchamber, and the closet. The ceiling of the Queen's bedchamber depicts the story of Aurora, the goddess of dawn. After 1737, Hampton Court declined as a royal residence and was instead converted into a grace and favour accommodation for the retired royal servants. In 1838, Queen Victoria opened the palace to the public. At present, the Hampton Court Palace is managed by Historic Royal Palaces.